videos, we looked at my first and second success criteria. The first one was that the program should let you search for anime if we type, and it should fuzzy filter the results. The second success criteria is that it should allow you to log in and register. And what logging in and registration allows you to do is it allows you to, first of all, create one of these recommendation lists for yourself and add and remove anime from the recommendation list. So if we go on here, you notice that we can actually type in anime, so edit name of recommendation list, and we can go to the recommendation list and we can view it. So this would be the viewing page. Suppose you wanted to edit it, you would have to log in as the user that this recommendation list belongs to. So this recommendation list belongs to a@a.com. So a.com is one of my accounts, so I can go to login, use the email a.com and type in the password. And now I'm logged in. And now if I go to their website, Finding Anime, we see that there's this additional few components. We have this input box with an add button next to it and a toggle view delete button. A toggle view delete button allows you to delete anime or click and view anime. Okay, so we have that, and let's have a look at how these features are implemented. So the features are creating a recommendation list, which I haven't shown you yet. So creating recommendation list here. Well, I did show you this in the first video in the summary. So we can create a recommendation list. We can read recommendation lists from the home page when we search it up, and we can update recommendation lists that belong to us. So let's see how these three features are implemented. So let's have a look first at creating a recommendation list. So creating a recommendation list is a mutation, and we have to use to create recommendation list resolver. So we'll actually look at the implementation in just a second, but the way it works is you have to use this command, and we have to input a title which has to be string. So we see a little squiggly because it's not a string, now it's a string and it's happy. So if we go over to the actual code, then that's a database. So you'll notice that this is how the animes, the recommendation lists have been stored. So they're being stored as objects, because this is a relational database. We can store data as in an object format. They're called documents, and we have an ID, a title, created by, and we have an array, which is an array of animes. In this case, it's empty. Now if we go back, we can go back all the way to this bit, which is the code, and if we go over to resolvers, actually we're already there, we're already in the right place. We can go to rec list, and what we're looking for this time is we're looking for it's this one. So what this bit allows you to do is it allows you to get specific rec lists by ID. So when we click on it, we get specific rec lists by ID, and then we can just send the information back, and then the user, the client side can render this, and we can have a look at the anime. So this would be the reading part. What I just showed you was not the reading part, it was the create rec list part. And you'll notice that we have to be authorized to do this. So it just checks if our header has a valid a valid access token. And if it does, it runs a rest, otherwise it throws an appropriate error. So we can actually see the error. Go back and just click run, because right now we don't have any authentication tokens. We'll see that this throws an error. So access denied. You need authorization to perform this action. And we put the authorization in the headers, and I discussed that in a previous video. So there we go. Another two things we have is the adding anime. So we can add anime using the add anime resolver, and of course that needs to be authorized, and also we can delete anime if you're authorized. And notice we have here checks to see if the user who's trying to delete it is actually the user who created it. Otherwise, anyone with a valid access token would be able to modify anyone else's anime recommendation list, which would not be good. But of course, we don't do any checks over here because we're just creating a recommendation list, and we could just we do check that. Actually, no, we don't do any checks in this case. So let's have a look at how this is implemented on the client side. Oh, sorry. Because the database, the API just simply needs to just send out the information. How do we format it correctly? How does the buttons and stuff work in the front end? And that's actually pretty complicated. So let's have a look. So we go to source and go to screens. So let's first look at the create rec list part, because that actually looks like the simplest one. So it's just like one title and then there's just this box. So let's have a look what that looks like in code. So we'll go to rec list create. Okay, so we have the title here, and here this bit, this bit is the bit that this is the bit that displays the search bar, and this bit is what tells it how to behave. For example, when you submit, when you click the create button. So this is the logic behind it, and essentially this just tells it to just let's finish submitting. Usually, what is for is to just re-enable the button, but it's not very important. This part is important though. What we do here, we just wrap in the try and catch in case there's any errors in the conversation to the API, let's say. So we just create a recommendation list and we just send in a title. So the title is just a string, and then we just go to home. So when we're logged in and we create a recommendation list, we'll go home. You actually saw an example of this in the first video, so I won't do that again. So that's pretty simple. That's all it is. What about adding and removing anime? Well, adding and removing anime actually happens in the same place as just viewing all the anime. So what it is it's all just there in one page, but only users that are logged in will be able to see this section over here. Actually, nope. This section over here, which allows you to modify the. So you both have to be logged in and be the user who created the recommendation list for you to be able to see the this part. Actually, no, this part it just checks if we have the recommendation list data. But let's see. This is the part that checks if there's well, first of all, if you exist as in you are logged in. If you do exist, then we check if you are the person who created the anime list, and if you are, we just put in this part, which lets you modify this lets you add anime. So that's the bit here. To add an anime, we just use the ID that you typed in, so the MAL ID. So we'll go to counterway, funny. So the MAL ID type in here, and then also the rec list ID, which is done in the background because we already know which rec list we're in, and then it will just send that off to the API, and if there's no problem, it will just add it on. If there is a problem, then, well, it doesn't do anything, but if I wanted to, I could do an alert, for example, just saying that there was some sort of error. So what about when we want to delete? Well, that's a teeny bit more complicated. We have this toggle button, which lets you toggle view and delete mode. View mode lets you see the details of the anime, just to check if you've got the right anime. And delete mode is for removing anime from your recommendation list. Now, the way it's implemented is we have two columns. So we have one column here that ends here, right? Another column here. So I did this because I wanted to display the anime as a masonry list. And you can see more about what a masonry list is in my write-up. And we have this if delete. We have this check to see which mode we're on for each of the images. So the images are wrapped in buttons. So the images are in fact buttons that you can click on. And when the user toggles the is delete button, we change what happens when the button is clicked. So if it is on delete mode, we use a delete anime resolver. So actually, this is the delete anime function, which calls the delete anime resolver on the API and just sends the appropriate details. And we use 2 times index because we're doing one column, which is all the even indexes, which is the left-hand one, and then there's all the odd indexes over here, which is the right-hand column. And once it's finished, we just refetch. Alternatively, you could just update the array manually, but that would be very difficult to do. I guess it wouldn't be too difficult to do, but it will be unnecessary complexity. So I just refetch the entire data, all the data. And over here we have navigate, which is if we're not on delete mode, in other words we're on view mode, then we would just navigate to the appropriate anime. So if on view mode, just click on it and then we'll just go to just the anime details page. So that's all there is. We covered creating anime lists, which was relatively simple, I think so. But updating anime lists was a bit more complicated, and also reading anime lists, that was alright. So I hope you understood what was going on, and thanks for watching if you did.